Charlotte awoke with a start, her heart pounding against her ribcage like a caged bird. Desperate for freedom, the darkness enveloped her, thick and oppressive, as if it were a living entity intent on swallowing her whole. She squinted at the clock on her bedside table, its red digits glaring back at her. 3:02 a.m. Panic clawed at her throat. She struggled to remember how she had gotten there, but the effort only deepened her confusion. As she swung her legs over the side of the bed, her bare feet met the cold floor, sending a shiver up her spine. The room was silent, but a sense of urgency buzzed in the air, prickling at her skin. Her gaze fell on a piece of paper lying on her pillow, a note scrawled in hurried handwriting. Trembling, she picked it up, her breath hitching as she read the words, "Check your phone. You need to go to 1426 Mulberry." Each word felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. The note offered no explanation, only a sense of foreboding that made her skin crawl. She stumbled toward her phone, the glow of the screen illuminating her face in the dark. The messages were alarming, a flurry of texts from an unknown number. "You have to remember," one read, "they're coming for you." Her mind raced. Who was they? What was happening to her? She felt a hollow pit in her stomach as she scrolled through the messages. They spoke of a condition, a term she barely recognized: sleep amnesia. Every time she fell asleep, her memories faded, leaving her adrift in a sea of confusion and fear. A sense of dread washed over her as she realized that she had no idea how long it had been since she last slept. How many memories had slipped away while she lay unconscious? The thought was maddening. She needed to leave, to find out what was happening, to reclaim whatever fragments of herself remained. With trembling hands, she dressed quickly, the rain pattering against her window, an unsettling rhythm that echoed her racing heartbeat. She grabbed her coat and slipped on her shoes, her mind racing with questions. What awaited her at 1426 Mulberry? Stepping out into the stormy night, the world felt surreal. The rain poured down, soaking her instantly, but she barely noticed. The streets of her suburban neighborhood were eerily quiet, the usual sounds of life replaced by the relentless drumming of raindrops. Each step felt heavy, the asphalt slick beneath her feet as she made her way toward the address that loomed in her mind like a dark omen. As she approached the house, a chill crept up her spine. The structure stood ominously, its windows dark and unwelcoming. It seemed to watch her, as though it were a predator lying in wait. The front door was slightly ajar, creaking softly as she pushed it open, her heart racing. Inside, the air was stale, the musty scent of neglect filling her nostrils. She stepped into the dimly lit foyer, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of life. It was then that she noticed the photographs lining the walls, dozens of them, all featuring her. Some were candid shots taken in public places. Others were more intimate, capturing her in moments of vulnerability. A cold wave of realization washed over her. She had been watched. Her breath quickened as she turned to flee, but a voice stopped her in her tracks. "You shouldn't be here, Charlotte." It was Dr. Elizabeth Hughes, a figure from her past, a woman she had once trusted. Elizabeth stood at the edge of the room, her expression a mix of concern and something darker. "You need to listen to me. You're in danger." Charlotte felt a surge of anger and confusion. Danger? From what? From who? Elizabeth stepped closer, her voice low and urgent. "You've been part of an experiment, Charlotte, a project that was never supposed to happen. They're manipulating your memory, erasing parts of your identity every time you sleep." Charlotte's mind reeled. The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Why? Why would anyone do this? Control, Elizabeth replied, her eyes darkening. They want to control you, to shape you into something you're not. You were chosen for your potential, but they didn't account for your resilience. Charlotte's heart raced as the pieces began to shift into place. "You knew about this?" "I tried to stop it," Elizabeth said, her voice cracking with emotion. "But I was too late. They've been watching you, and now they're coming for you." Fear gripped Charlotte as she realized the depth of her situation. She had to escape, to preserve whatever memories she had left. She turned to run, but Elizabeth grabbed her arm. "You can't go out there without knowing the truth. You need this." She handed Charlotte a file, thick and worn, and Charlotte felt the weight of it in her hands. "This contains everything, your history, the project details, everything you need to know." Charlotte hesitated, glancing back at the door. The sound of footsteps echoed outside, growing closer. "I can't stay here," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then you have to go now," Elizabeth urged. "Find a safe place and read the file. You'll understand everything." With a nod, Charlotte turned and bolted for the door, her heart pounding in her chest as she stepped back into the storm. The rain lashed against her, but she didn't stop. She ran, the world blurring around her, the file clutched tightly in her hand. As she raced down the desolate street, a sense of determination surged within her. She wouldn't let them take her identity, her memories. She would fight back against the darkness that threatened to consume her. The dawn was approaching, and with it, the promise of clarity. But the storm raged on, and Charlotte knew the battle was far from over. Each step was a defiance against the fear that clawed at her mind. She was more than a subject in an experiment. She was Charlotte, and she would reclaim her life.